action loss. And
Okay, recording in progress.
yeah, and we're not live. I'm gonna go click now live and go live, and we are live now,
You know
guys.
what? Let me go get my book. Hold on.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. So today I'm gonna have amazing guest, and she's getting her book to show you all. Lisa wrote amazing book, Shocked. I think she did it in February, and it's gonna be about the therapy, the shock therapy, and how shock therapies affect the brain. Lisa, very, very welcome. How are you
I'm back.
today? You back?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you show your book
I'd love to show my book. I don't know if you can see it.
a little bit higher?
A little higher?
Oh no, it's I think because of the background we cannot see it, but we always can maybe take a print screen and put in. Oh yeah, yeah, yes, that's
Okay.
we can see it now. Yeah, amazing, Lisa. Just want to congratulate you. Book
Thank you.
to write a book, it is a big deal. It's a big commitment.
The background should have it on there.
Yeah, guys. So you see the QR code. It's easy to scan and check it out. Lisa's book. Lisa, very, very welcome. How are you today?
I'm great.
I'm so
I
happy. Yeah, you here.
never in a million years would I think I would ever write a book, let alone tell everybody about what happened to me. I've always been a private person. So this is kind of stepping out of the comfort zone. But definitely for a good purpose. And I'm just thrilled to be here. If I could, I mean, I could talk to you for hours. Absolutely
Yeah.
hours.
Absolutely. We probably have to put in a different episodes because today we're going to have about 20, 30 minutes here to share your
Okay.
story. So would you love to tell Lisa about what happened to you?
Oh, well, it's kind of hard to do it in a nutshell.
Mm,
I what I decided to do is I decided to write a memoir. And I learned there is a difference between a memoir and an autobiography. An autobiography is when were you born? What, tell all about your family, tell all about your house and how you grew up. But a memoir is a type of autobiography, but it has a theme. There's some kind of theme. And I decided to write a memoir about my I don't know if people are going to understand this, my psychiatric journey. From a young age, I had obsessive compulsive disorder. I counted. I counted everything. And the more anxious I would get about something, the more I would count. I would also spell things in my head as if so let's say you're talking. In my head, it's like a typewriter. And all of everything that you say is being typed in my head. So, but then we got into some deep depression. And I was about 31 the first time I went into a psychiatric hospital. And I think I did a pretty good job in the book of describing what it's like being admitted to a psychiatric hospital. It's kind of like them putting you in jail. They take your shoelaces out of your shoes. Any strings in the hoodies, they take the strings out. There's all there is a mattress and 2 sheets and a pillow. That's it. When you go in, they strip search. to make sure you're not bringing in any drugs or anything else, anything to hurt yourself. Um, it, that's, I don't think I ever really told anybody about that. Yeah, you're having enough problems as it is. And then they have to do, and they have to do what they have to do. But over a period of time, I had to keep going to the hospital. They tried this medicine and that medicine, and it wasn't working. I was suicidal, and we didn't have any options left. So the doctor said he wanted me to have ECT. And ECT stands for electroconvulsive therapy. Most people know it as shock therapy. What people don't understand is it's electroconvulsive because the electricity, they're making you have a grand mal seizure. The purpose is to make your body have a seizure. Well, if you think about it, there's a lot of people out there with epilepsy, and they take medicine so they don't have a seizure. So looking back on it, how did we think that me having a seizure was going to make me happy? Kind of a strange mindset.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But the doctor was genuine. He was always there. You know, even if I had a problem at night, I could call. He would be there. He'd talk me through it. All right, you have to go to the hospital. So we went through this cycle of going in and out of the hospital. So I had all of these treatments, and I would go into the doctor's office and say, my memory hasn't come back yet. My short-term memory, like what I had for breakfast, I have no idea. My long-term memory, I lost about 20 years of my life. It's not in my brain. Maybe it's in there somewhere. There's a lot I don't remember. And my husband and I can be somewhere, and he'd be like, do you remember the wedding over at, no. Did I have fun? I want to know if I had fun, because I hope I had fun. So when I was younger, my father was a runner, and that came out of my mom having some cardiac problems. So we got healthy and we started jogging. And so throughout my life, I had been running, and I got a dog. We started walking a little bit. We started running, and the more I ran, like regularly, not, I ran last month, a mile, and the month before a mile. When I was doing it, like 3 times a week, my depression was getting better. And all of the problems I was having with my brain didn't seem as bad. Now, here's an idea. This is how to explain it. When I'm going to the checkout counter, these are my brain problems. When I'm going to the checkout counter, let's say hopefully I'm not paying in cash, because I'm not good at that. But if I'm paying in cash, I count it out, but then I forget where I left off. So they have to wait. I have to try to count it again, but then I get confused. Okay, let me try it again. So, and anything counting, anything with money, I can't. I was always, my father was a banker. I was good with money and responsible and took care of the checkbook. But for whatever reason, that part of the brain got zapped by the electricity. I have to make fun out of it because if I don't, then I'll think about how serious this really is. Um, but things like that, anything that had to do with um, multitasking, doing more than one thing at a time. So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I had problems cooking dinner because maybe you have the chicken and some potatoes and a vegetable or salad and fruit. I couldn't, there were too many things going on. I could give you the chicken. Here's your baked chicken, but that's all you're going to get. So my life had to be simplified. And when I started running with my dog, I the brain things weren't so bad. And in running with the dog, my service dog, I got him to be a service dog. He is my roadmap. So wherever I go, even if I just walk out the door and go for a run, he's attached to me and I just follow him and he brings me right home. He has a crazy sense of direction. He's part border collie. Now, border collies are herding dogs. Okay, so they herd sheep, goats, things like that. And if you go on YouTube, there's some really interesting videos on border collies, with like the shepherds out in the fields, how they rally up all of the animals. So if I try to turn, but that's the wrong street, he will pull. He will pull. He will pull me to go straight. So I don't go down that street. The only way he stops pulling, if I say, it's okay. No, we're good. This is good. It's okay.
But
I started having problems with people discriminating against me because I looked fine. I look fine. I walk fine. I can run half a marathon. So people were, well, why do you have a service dog? What makes you different that you need a service dog? So people want to know what's wrong with you. How am I going to, and why should I explain to anybody what's wrong with me? But when I signed up for the marathon one year, we have a marathon and a half marathon. The marathon is in October, and I had been training with my dog, with my service dog. I can't go anywhere without him. And certainly running 26 miles, and a lot of times I'm pretty slow, so I'm in the back. So there's not always someone in front of me that I can follow. So, we need to know the course. He needs to know the course. All I do is run. I don't think about it. And they said no. I had sent them a letter and I said, this is Lisa Conway. I knew the one gentleman because I'd volunteered. And I told him, I said I was going to have my service dog with me. He has a red vest on. He's always tethered to my waist. He eliminates beforehand, so it's not a problem. He's been in races, so it's not a problem. they came back and they said he couldn't be in the race. And I didn't understand that. And I being a social worker, I immediately tried to find an advocate, and there's agencies out there, and their purpose is advocating for people who have disabilities.
Mhm.
Well, he was able to contact someone, um, you know, in Washington, D.C., and discuss the issue. And yeah, it was definitely discrimination. But what happened was COVID came and the marathon was canceled. I had been training for months and getting up at, I don't know, 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning so it wasn't too hot for my dog to run because he's all black. I didn't want him to overheat. And when you're training, you're training 18 miles. Let's think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's about 3 hours. So it gets hot quick. Um, I went to my running friends. I have a wonderful group of running friends. They're called the Barrier Breakers, and they're out of a wonderful, wonderful running store, the Scranton Company. And um, um, and this is what happens with my brain. In the middle of something, it'll stop. So let me think. Um, oh, the Scranton Running Company. Okay, so I went to their owner, Matt, and I said, Matt, I want to run a marathon. How do I do it? And I asked a couple of my other coaches, how do I do this? I've never done this. I don't know the course. I can't just run by neither of us know where to go. This running group, everybody seemed, they just pulled it together. It took a village. They all got together and they trained with me and they ran with me. And some of them would run on a certain part of the course, and then we would run into somebody else, and then they would run with us for a little while. And the day came when I was going to run the marathon, and I can't believe how many people there were. There were people with the cars on the side of the road with the hatchback open. They had water to water down the dog. I could put water on the dog so he's all wet. He's not gonna, he's not gonna overheat. They had water for me, Gatorade, all kinds of fuel, cookies, brownies. I could have, I could have eaten a lot, but I didn't. So everybody had their part. There was always someone with a bicycle that was right next to us. The bicycles would go when there was an intersection, they would stop traffic so Teddy and I could keep running. And when I finally got to the end, and we ended right at the big courthouse. It's a big square, in town, the courthouse. And one of my coaches had set up for a news crew to interview me when I was done with the marathon. So that was strange. I wasn't ready for that. I mean, all I wanted to do was rest. And of course, here's this dog who just ran 26 miles. He's rolling around, playing around. Everybody's petting him. He's in a great mood. I want to go to bed. Um, but they helped me. They helped me. That was my dream. My dream was to run the marathon. I didn't think I could because I come with a lot of problems. You know, I come with a lot of problems, and I just didn't ever think it was possible.
Lisa.
Um,
Wow.
and my one coach, Joe, he started saying, "So when you going to write your book?" Never. He said, "No, people need to know about your story." How can I write a book? I can barely put two words together. He nagged me for 2 years. When you going to write your book? The one thing that was good about when I went into the psychiatric hospitals all those times, I always brought a journal with me. Now, of course, the journal couldn't have wires
Oh.
because that could be a danger. You could hurt yourself with a wire. So it had to be a closed, like a closed book. And there's a lot of free time when you're in a psychiatric unit. And so a lot of times that's when I would write in my journal. So I went back and I started reading my journals, and reading some of the things that I went through that I hadn't remembered was kind of traumatic because I I had blocked it out of my mind, and rightly so, and rightly so. I had I didn't, I closed that door and never reopened it. But the interesting thing was, probably at least twice in different journals, I wrote down, I should write a book. I didn't I didn't know what to think. And I thought, well, if this isn't from God above saying, it's about time you step up. Okay. Um, and I got on Facebook, on Facebook groups, authors helping authors, publishers, agents. So complicated. It was just so terribly complicated. But I finally found an older author who had wonderful advice. He said, sit down the same time every day and write 1,000 words. Okay, I can do that. I'm very simple. If you can tell me one thing at a time, I can do it.
Yeah.
If you show it to me, then I can do it. But I can't do it by myself. You have to tell me step by step what to do, because my brain can't do that itself. And that's what this man said. Sit down, write 1,000 words every day. Okay, I did that. Now what? And so then I was like, well, what do I do now? So I had to find an editor. She was wonderful, and I wanted an editor that had some psychology background, because there's a lot of psychology in this. She was from South Africa, and her name is Ellen Solomon. And not only did she do an amazing job of pulling my book together, because I told her, I said, I repeat myself a lot. I forget that I already said that. So when she would be reading, what I wrote, that's exactly what happened. On a number of occasions, I already told that story. So then she'd have to fix it for me. And even with the publisher, my publisher, Heather Felty from Inner Peace Press, I didn't go looking for her. I was on a Facebook group, and I saw this one book, and I knew it was a really good book because I worked in social services. My last job was hospice. And I worked with families while their loved ones were dying. So I had a lot of experience with grieving and bereavement, and here was this book that I knew was very good, and so I made a positive comment. And she messaged me. I wasn't even looking for her, but Inner Peace Press is her company, and she helps people share their stories.
Beautiful, Lisa.
So she helped me put my book together. And I'm just out there to tell the world that there's a lot of people that our doctors are hurting. And some places around the world don't give you anesthesia. Thank God my over here in the United States, they give anesthesia before they give you the seizure. But all it means is that your body is on the stretcher. All it means is that your body isn't convulsing, is paralyzed. They give it medicine to paralyze it. But in other countries, they don't always give you that anesthesia, so you could be awake while you're having a seizure. This is all over the world, and somehow I need someone or some people that have some pull somewhere to help me say this is what's happening. If I have to be the poster child for ECT, shock therapy, then that's what I'll do. Because too many people are being hurt. People's lives are, you're never the same. You lose your personality. Maybe, yes, you're a body, and my husband would say, well, yeah, we're sitting down watching TV, but you're not really there. Because I would ask him, I'm like, well, what is it like? What, am I doing this right? And he'd be like, you're just not, there's no emotion. For a long time, I didn't have any, I was just like this. Anything could happen in front of me and it wouldn't even faze me. And they're doing this to teenagers. They're doing it, a high percentage of the times that they do it, they're doing it to women. They're doing it to the elderly. And had they told me on the consent that these are the possible side effects, you may get brain damage, that would have been a different story. But we weren't told that. We were never told. And it took me getting on the internet, learning from people all around the world that the doctors do not tell you not only that it's going to happen, but they don't tell you how to get help for it. So none of us can go to a doctor and the doctor say, yeah, you have a brain injury. Yeah, let's get you into some therapy. And I found out that there was therapy. I go to speech therapy. I have a speech therapist and she helps me. She does brain work with me, brain games. But she also helps me to figure out how to use those skills in my house, like functional. And I'm forever that these glasses are attached. Okay. I used to think that only old ladies wore these things on the glasses, right? Or all of our old teachers. Well, if I don't wear them, I lose my glasses. I would lose my glasses 5 times a day. So now they have to be attached. I would lose my driver's license, my wallet. My whole day is just trying to find things I lost, my phone. So we very simply, she made these little cards. You know, they were just like this, and they had they were laminated, so they had plastic on it. And it had the list of things I needed to have before I left the house. And we put that on every bag that every pocketbook or a gym bag or anything like a backpack or anything that I used to go out of the house. So she's helped me come up with ways to make my life easier to function. And people out there that have had shock therapy have no idea that this is out there. I didn't know until recently. And they should know because it's available. And I just recently was on a podcast for Brain Injury Awareness Month, and it was through my publisher, Inner Peace Press, because she has a couple of authors that are telling their story in books about how they got brain injuries. And they also had a neuroscientist there. She was a very, very nice woman out of Utah, which unfortunately is very far away from where I live. But she came right out and she said what they did to me was criminal. And to have a doctor say that out loud, I didn't ever think anybody would ever say it. And I know the doctors know. But if they say it, then there can be, people can be suing doctors and, liability things and whatever. All I ever wanted was for somebody to say, yeah, that's what happened. and it's a shame it happened to you. Let's figure out what we can do to help. So me being a social worker, and spending my life advocating for other people, I found myself advocating for myself. So,
yeah, it's a beautiful story, Lisa, that you are openly sharing, and people need to know what these shock therapies are doing to our brain. Like it just, yeah, exactly. It just, and can I just say something? How inspired and proud I am of you for coming here,
thank you.
sharing your story openly, and the most important, doing something so many people cannot do, they want to do, but they never do it. Write a book.
The
Amazing.
the subheading of the book. Now the book is called Shocked, but the subheading is Breaking the Stigma of Mental Illness and the Silence of Shock Therapy. And that's true, the silence, because you had to keep it a secret. You didn't, I had to keep it a secret. I did not want my employers to know I was getting shock therapy. It's one thing to have a mental illness. It's another thing, much worse, to be getting shock therapy.
Yeah.
And I did have some situations where, you know, people found out and, you know, there were not such great consequences. But you don't come out and tell people you had shock therapy, because number one, they'll say, do they still do that? I thought they stopped doing that a long time ago. So did I. I worked in the medical field and I had no idea they were still doing it. Let alone in a town that's 5 minutes away. So, you know, if people call their local hospitals and ask if they do ECT or shock therapy, you know, get ready, because those hospitals are probably going to say yes. Yeah. And they're making lots of money. I read somewhere it was a $5 billion industry, because you pay for the doctor, you pay him separately, you pay for the hospital, you pay the anesthesia person, you get a separate bill for that. So each treatment very generally was $8,000 to $10,000. I had over 100. We've always been very thrifty and never extravagant, just the basics. And we had every bill collector wanting money that we didn't have. So I had to go on disability. For a long time, I lost who I was, because I'm a social worker. That's who I am. And then all of this happened, and I came back. I came back. Not everybody does. But maybe I'm here to talk for those people who haven't come back.
Absolutely, Lisa. You have absolutely inspiring and beautiful story, and people need to know that. And Lisa, before we wrap it up, this lovely talk with you, Any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience? Anything that you want to say? Anything on your mind?
You know, don't assume that because somebody walks around and they look fine, don't assume that they're fine. When I got Teddy to be my service dog, I look great, right? I can run marathons. So can he. I don't know how many people wanted to know, why did I have a service dog? You look fine. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean there isn't anything there. There's all these invisible disabilities out there that nobody can see, that are breaking up families, and you know, having people have to go to food banks for food because they don't get any money from working anymore. There's so much people don't understand. So don't judge. Just accept whoever that is, just accept that. And the rest will come. But a lot of people make a snap judgment, and there's so much more to that person that you have no idea. I am so blessed that you came into my life. Yeah, I get emotional too.
Now, Lisa, we both
I,
gotta cry a little. It's an
this,
honor, Lisa, to have you. You are truly inspiration to me and to a lot of people. And please, guys, leave the hearts, leave beautiful things in the comments for Lisa. Your support is absolutely enormous here. She's an amazing woman. She's beautiful story, and all she wants to tell it. Basically, how the shock therapy can affect your brain and just to be aware of. And in the end, please be kind, because you never know. We all might look like, there's nothing with us, but you don't know what's going inside our hearts. And that's the message what I'm understanding from Lisa. And
yes.
Lisa, girl, my love, my support. You are my hero. You are amazing woman. And I'm so happy you are here with us. So thank you so much for being.
Thank you so much for giving me this chance. This means a lot to me. It really does.
Lisa, could
So
you
much. Thank you.
absolutely. Please do stay, and I just gonna finish the live now. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
I think we ending now. Just one sec. Oh, how did the